Yes, everybody, what's going on? This is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils, and this is Full Time Review, the place for you to have your say on the weekend's game. So get your stuff into the comments. I'm going to read the comments out periodically as we go through it. And the things I want you to talk about today is firstly the United way, which I'm going to get into in a second. And the larger topic of that is the Jose Mourinho factor on the United way. But I also want to talk about Lukaku. 25 goals now. That target that I sort of set at the start of the season, 30, looks ominous. People are still calling him a donkey, still criticising him, and he is going to get 30 goals this year. I'm pretty sure of it. And finally, Nemanja Matic had a bit of a poor spell over Christmas, possibly tiredness, possibly incorrect utilisation, but at the weekend, he was an absolute monster, wasn't he? So we're going to talk about all of those things. I look forward to seeing your comments, and I'm going to read some of those comments out. But first, let's talk about the Manchester United way. What is the Manchester United way? Now, a few months ago, it was definitely not a couple of weeks ago, we had Rennie Mullenstein right here, sitting on one of these chairs, talking to me about what the United way was. And I asked him what the United way was, and what Rennie said to him was, what Rennie said to me was that Sir Alex Ferguson told him what the United way was. And it's not a formation, it's not necessarily a system, it's more of a mentality. And it's actually possession-based. So what Rennie said is, when we have the ball, and we hold the ball and we hold possession, we hold it with a purpose. We don't hold possession for no reason. It's possession with a purpose. And when we have that ball, we're looking for speed, we're looking for power, we're looking for penetration, and we are looking for unpredictability with the ball. And Sir Alex told Rene his job was to make Manchester United 1% better every single day when they came into training. Whether that was a drill around the box, whether that was a pattern of play, whether that was crossing, whether that was the over-the-top Scholesy style balls, whatever drill they was running, it was all designed to make United faster, more powerful, better penetration, and more unpredictable with the ball at their feet, but holding possession properly. If you want to get more in depth on that, then go and have a look at the Coerver method, which Rennie Mullenstein was one of the founders of. Definitely go check that sort of stuff out. That is what Rennie Mullenstein and Sir Alex Ferguson would call the Manchester United way, and I would agree on that. I don't think it's a formation. Sir Alex played many different formations in his time as Manchester United manager. The United way is a method. Doesn't mention wingers, doesn't actually mention youth. It's just a mentality of playing when you have the ball. Now, this weekend's game, we are through. We're in the semi-final. We're now playing at Wembley in the FA Cup, and that's an absolutely fantastic achievement for us. I think it's still a way for us to come away with progress and feeling good at the end of the season. An FA Cup final, lifting the FA Cup. That's going to be awesome if we're able to do that at the end of the season. But there was a bad taste in the mouth after the game this weekend, wasn't it? It was, yeah, we got through, but that was rubbish. Now, I absolutely accept that if we'd have got through against Sevilla in midweek and still been rubbish, we can accept that, can't we? It's much better to go through and be rubbish than to go out and be rubbish. But there's still that bad taste that we're getting into the meat of a season where things are won and lost and progress is really measured, and it doesn't feel like Manchester United are clicking. Now, yes, we didn't have our two most creative forces on the pitch. I'm talking about Paul Pogba and Alexis Sanchez. We didn't have them, but those two players, in essence, still provide a problem for Manchester United. Those two players occupy the same space. Those two players are occupying the same sort of positions on the pitch and kind of getting in each other's way. Let's talk about the game itself then. So the first goal, I thought for the whole game, actually, Brighton played a little bit like a championship side. They were very direct, they were pretty physical, and I think we struggled against them. The game was far more open than we would want. It was a little bit of a traditional cup competition. They really went for it. They flooded numbers forward in ways that you really wouldn't expect, especially in the second half as they were trying to get back into the game. And United struggled with it. We really struggled with it. Defensively, Jose Mourinho sets United up to be a proper tight unit. And we didn't look like a tight unit. They ran through us in the middle like no one was there. And aside from Nemanja Matic and the excellent performance that he put in, United just didn't step up in the slightest. We didn't physically step up. We didn't mentally step up. We just wasn't there at all. So the first goal, I've seen a lot of people criticising Luke Shaw, and we are definitely going to talk about Jose's decision to hook Luke Shaw at half-time. Now, Shaw was moaned at for not crossing the ball at the first time, and he plays it back, and he's the one that actually plays the ball in for Matic, who whips the cross in. But if you go and watch the goal again, there's a couple of players' involvement in that goal which aren't being highlighted and aren't being talked about. The first is Anthony Martial. Martial comes from the left, dribbling inside with the ball, and then lays it off. I think it's for Juan Mata. who plays it to Shaw, who then eventually plays it to Matic. So I think Anthony Martial's run, pulling people away from Shaw and allowing Shaw the space was a good thing. Then Shaw drives the ball forward, comes up against the fullback, looks up, and at the point that he looks up, he's got 4 players in between him and Lukaku is double marked. He makes the correct decision. Rather than putting a blind cross into Lukaku, who's not going to win against 2 defenders, he plays the ball back for Matic, who's now in space. Matic bangs a cross in, and as Luke Shaw plays the ball backwards, the defensive line steps up with the ball. They step up, Lukaku stands still, and Lukaku is now marked only by a single man, which is good odds for Lukaku, and he gets on the end of a header. What it highlights is actually Luke Shaw's doing a lot of things right. Now, defensively, I didn't think he looked good. I thought he looked sloppy, but you could probably put that down to rustiness. The guy's played, 3 games this entire season or something? But attacking, he is good with the ball. It also highlights that you've got to put more crosses in the box at head height for Lukaku to get on the end of them, because he is absolutely magnificent at getting on the end of them. And you put those in and he's going to be at 30 by the end of April. Not a problem. I just thought United was sloppy. Our general sloppiness really hindered us throughout the game. And I don't think you can lay the blame entirely at Mourinho's feet. If you look at his press conference and the things that he says the players didn't want to play the same way that he told them to play. He was unhappy with the performance of the players. So I've got to ask the question, how much of what we saw on Saturday was down to Mourinho and how much of it was down to players not following instructions or having poor games themselves? I'll come to the comments in a second and see what you guys are saying. Feel awful for Shaw, says Alan Joseph. There's a lot of people saying they feel sorry for him. Joshua says, Shaw looks scared. Maybe that's because of the uncertainty with the way he's supposed to play. That's a good point. Yeah, maybe he doesn't actually know where he's meant to play. McCall is in the comments. He says, imagine Fellaini and Smalling can play crap in so many games without getting ripped. Shaw does okay for 45 minutes, gets teared a new one. It's a joke, really. Shaw is finished at this club. You'd have to agree with that one. Stop defending Shaw, says Mudza, who was rubbish. I don't agree he was rubbish. I thought there was very little in what him and Young did, except obviously Young delivers a cross that scores the second goal. But that was it, really. Mourinho is bullying Shaw, says Kenyan Soccer. See, people have got short memories. They remember Alex Ferguson was a bully. You've got to be a bully to manage those egos. Alex Ferguson bullied David Beckham out of the club. He bullied Jaap Stam out of the club. He sacked Roy Keane. This is a man that took no prisoners to get what he wanted. If you respected that in Sir Alex Ferguson, you have to respect that, even if you don't agree with it. And I don't agree with the way he's treating Luke Shaw. But you have to respect that. That's the manager, and that's what the manager has to do to get the best out of the team. Jamaica says, tired of Shaw. He has to get in a proper left-back who isn't injured all the time. Remember, there's 3 talking points that we want to talk about today. It's ended up being a Luke Shaw one. But Matic, I want to talk to you about Matic. How impressed was you with his performance? Lukaku, what do we need to be doing? Do you think, like me, that we got to get more crosses into the box? First-time crosses, round the back, to get the best out of Lukaku and to push him over that 30-goal line. And if he does get 30 goals, are you happy with him in the first season? He could very well end up as the top goal scorer and assister at United in his first season. That's not bad as far as I'm concerned. And then finally, let's talk about Jose. Anthony Johnson says, only Lukaku and Matic want to play for Jose. Do you know what? There you go. That might be a good point. What do you lot think on that? Give me in the comments and let me know. Jose is breaking Shaw's confidence, says Omar. Could be. Very much could be. I think this is one thing that you do get with Mourinho that you don't necessarily get, well, we didn't get with Fergie, is that Fergie definitely had a softer side to him. We don't see the softer side that Jose Mourinho might have. All we see is him testing players. He's tested them publicly, doesn't he? He's done it with Mkhitaryan, he did it with Martial, he's done it with Shaw. Is he doing it with Pogba at the moment? Funny how Shaw gets slated publicly but Fellaini doesn't. Agree on that one. Hit that like button, says Joshwin. I definitely agree with that. And we've got a request for you as well. We are still suspended on Twitter. Hopefully that's going to get resolved today. But if you've been trying to tweet us, you've not been blocked. No one's blocked you. It's that we are suspended on Twitter. So we are trying to get that resolved as quickly as possible so we can start moaning again on Twitter. And if you want to get involved and help the campaign, then it's #FreeFTD on Twitter. Righty then, you can see his soft side with McTominay, says Ivan. Well, actually, do you know what? We've got Jose's press conference, and he does actually criticise McTominay, says it's the worst performance in a United shirt. So let's have a look at that one. Let's see what Jose had to say in his post-match press conference.
People like Luke Shaw, Van Matt, Lingard, who particularly got his line? No, I prefer to name the good ones. Matic was an island of personality and quality and reaction to the defeat of last Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday. Of course, not surrounded by water, surrounded by other people that did a positive job. And for example, Scott played on his side. Scott played the worst match since he played with me in the first team. But he is a Manchester United player for sure, because he's the player that made mistakes, passed the ball so bad tonight, lost so many passes, but big personality to cope with the mistake, big personality to say and to think, I'm not playing well, but at least I'm going to do the basic things of the game, and the basic things of the game is keep his position, give balance to the team, recover balls, don't make defensive mistakes. But a few of other guys, I saw them scared to play.
Why are they so scared to play?
Look, I cannot say much more. I think is a relation with personality. Is a relation to trust. Is a relation to class. You know, and you know, when the sun is shining, and the sun is shining in football is a period where everything goes well, you win matches, you score goals, everything goes in your direction. Every player is a good player, and every player wants to play, and every player wants the ball, and every player is confident to play, and every player looks amazing. When it's dark and cold, and that in football means or a period of bad results, or a bad result like happened to us a couple of days ago, not everybody has the confidence and the personality to play really. Because to be on the pitch and touch the ball every 5 minutes, and anyone can do it. But to be on the pitch and say, give me the ball because I want to play, that's a little bit more difficult. Not all of them were able to do it. So I'm really happy with the performance. I'm really happy with the result. I'm really happy with the control that we had. Of course, they had a reaction in the second half between minute 15 and 30, no more than that. Of course, they had that result. They can play football. Is a match without any kind of pressure for them. I really think that their big target in the end, the one that puts them under pressure, is to stay on the Premier League, which they are going to do for sure. But today, nothing to lose for them. They had the reaction, but apart of that, even not playing well, we kept control of the game and the result, and that's good.
Shaw was praised at half-time for having a pass in the goal, pushing Brighton back. Was it slightly harsh taking him off at half-time?
It's my decision.
What was your reasons behind it then?
My reason behind them is that we work on the pitch a certain kind of movements where for me was really important the two fullbacks to be aggressive and to be always in front and to create space for Matic and Scott to play in front of the two central defenders, and I didn't have that with Luke and with Antonio Valencia, with both of them. I didn't change both because was too aggressive to do it, and then I have only one more change for 90 minutes, and then only if we go to extra time I could have the possibility of a fourth change. But to play 45 minutes only with one more substitution to do, I think it was too much aggressive. But to try to improve our offensive football and to be more aggressive, I had to change one of them, and I decided Luke, because at least Antonio defensively was capable of some good positionings, like in one of their more dangerous movements in the second half, where Locadia made a diagonal run inside behind Eric Bailly, and Antonio is still capable of this. And Luke in the first half, every time they went in his corridor, the cross was coming and the dangerous situation was coming. So I was not happy with the performance. My calculation is that without pressure, they don't perform well. What can I lose? And the ones that are always there are the ones that will be always there. And there's an example of personality. You have the kid that didn't play well at all, and I told him already, was the first one that I spoke individually in the dressing room, and instead of be critic with him, I was positive with him, because you play very bad, but you did the basic things of one player has to do, and one of the basic things is to keep emotional balance, to play with that red shirt that is a heavy one, is a heavy shirt to wear. And the kid, in his worst performance by far, he was there, and he had body to wear that shirt. He was not afraid to play. He played bad, and play bad. Every player can play bad, but to feel not comfortable to play, please, mister, take me from the pitch. I felt that. So I have nothing to lose in relation to that. The strong ones will be always the strong ones. The young ones under pressure and under criticism, or improve or don't improve.
So that was what Jose had to say. I've got some notes here to talk about the things that he said, but before I get into that, I just want to say thanks to all the new subscribers that we've got. If you are new around here and this is the first time that you've seen this video, this is what we do every Monday, unless there's some sort of mad fixture class or something like that. We dissect the game and we talk to you lot, and you lot can have your say, and I'll read out all the best comments that I can get to. There was tons of really good comments in there, so thanks for the comments. I am going to come back to the comments in a second, but first I'm going to talk about what Jose said in his press conference. Now, I thought it was strange when he said he would prefer to talk about the good ones in reference to the players. He also mentions, as I said before we went into it, about Scott having his worst game in a United shirt. I think that's to be expected at times, that performances of young players that are a dozen or so starts into their career, they're going to have peaks and troughs. They're going to have excellent games like they had against Liverpool, where he was fantastic, and he's going to have troughs where he's not at the races. The problem that we've got at the moment is Jose's clearly not fancying Pogba for some reason. Fellaini is Fellaini, and he's also coming back from a long layoff. He doesn't want to use Michael Carrick for some unknown reason. So it looks like Scott is one of the only options that we've got to play in that position. So he's having to step up and do it. And like Jose says, when it's not going right for him, he switches to do the basic things right. And I think that's an excellent trait that Scott has got. He also says he feels like the players were scared to play. Now, I think that's the most interesting line in the whole press conference, to be honest, because I think that if he's saying that the players didn't play, that means they didn't stick to his game plan. That means they didn't follow what he was asking. So I'm going to ask you guys, is that on the players or is that on Jose? Is a couple of games of us parking the bus, being reactive, being counter-attacking, is that hindering our ability to go out and be free and to play football? When you look at the first 10, 11 games of the season where United did turn up and blow teams away, now I've seen people go, oh, we only scored in the last 10 minutes. I got news for you, mate. That still counts. We still get those goals if they're in the last 10 minutes. The idea of football is that you play from 0 minutes to 90 minutes. So it's happy days. It doesn't matter when you score, it's the fact that you do score. And United did play freer, more expansive football in those first dozen or so games that we just don't seem to be able to play anymore. Why is that? Part of me thinks it's probably down a little bit to Mkhitaryan. What do you guys think? Mark Gardner says Shaw was poor and Scott wasn't great. Can add a few more. Not until the transfer window you can't, unless he's going to start promoting academy players. Paul Davies says Jose is holding us back. Paul, can you back that up for us, mate? Because I only see the progress. The performances aren't great, but the results are proven progress. And I think that's important for us to recognise. If Jose can't do it, who do you think can do it? I think that's a fair question for you. Jesse Lingard fan says it's on the players. Jean-Louis Pierre says Shaw isn't what we hoped he would be. Josh says Valencia always turning around and passing it back, yet whenever he bombs up the pitch, he scores a goal. Valencia is a strange one because actually at the start of Jose Mourinho coming in last season, in pre-season and those first few league games, Valencia was bombing down the wing and he was slinging crosses in, and we all thought, oh, maybe it was Louis van Gaal that was holding Valencia back. Now the same sort of Valencia has sort of crept in again a little bit, hasn't it? Devil Doc says, I call BS. If the players aren't fearful, that's Jose's fault. Mato was not happy leaving the game. Was he not happy in his own performance though? I'm not sure about that. All goes back to the Liverpool game the first time. But surely it's just that one incident, that one game. Why can't we turn it around? Why are we still looking back at that game 5 months ago? What matters is how we play, and we are going backwards. I would disagree, mate, because if we play super entertaining football like, say, Liverpool or Spurs are playing, and we come 5th, no one's going to be happy with that, are they? You cannot expect to transform a team into a competitive side and an entertaining side at the same time. And I think Jose sort of addressed this in his press conference on Friday, that there is a process, and the process is to get us back winning and to get us back in the position where we are beating teams. Once you are comfortable beating teams and you are happy with the players in your squad, then you can start looking to try and be a bit more expansive. I absolutely agree on that. I don't think you can just wave a wand after the failures of managers that we've had recently, and after the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson and all of the experience and top-class, world-class players that we've had depart the club, and just expect to be able to play entertaining football and win. That's the difference. Manchester City already had an unbelievable team, and Pep Guardiola was able to sign 20 players for it. And it's not necessarily about the money spent, it's about the ability to bring in 20 different players, 19 players. And if you look at that Manchester City side, is it the new signings making all the difference? Or is it players that was left over? When you look at the likes of De Bruyne and Aguero and Silva and company, that's the heartbeat of that Manchester City team. And then you look at United side, David De Gea side, none of them are really good enough. And even the players that he has signed, Zlatan Ibrahimovic doesn't play at the moment, and Mkhitaryan's been moved on to Arsenal. So there's an issue with the signings that we're making. If we'd have had more players in the mould of Bayer, and even Bayer, as fantastic as he's been, hasn't played enough as far as I'm concerned. Herb says, free FTD. Absolutely, we're going to get into that again in a little bit. Daniel says, you can buy players, you can't buy a team. Manchester City say you're wrong. Kareem says, the frustrating thing is, we do have the players to be way more entertaining still, but holding players back doesn't help. It doesn't sound like Jose's holding them back. I don't think he's going to put his hand on anyone's chest as they're walking out the dressing room and go, remember, don't attack. I don't think that's happening. I think there's something obviously in the players. Now, maybe we are covering for a more inexperienced midfield with McTominay. Maybe we are covering for a slightly weaker defence. But you are absolutely right when on paper, the forward 5 or 6 that we can put out on any given Sunday or Saturday is absolutely fantastic. So why isn't it playing that way? You look at the way Liverpool's forward 3 interchanges, you go, our forward 3 is just as good. But is it the fact that they're flooding forward and playing as a team going forward? Is that what also makes them vulnerable at the back? Is it the fact that they don't have a change in tactics which makes them vulnerable at the back? Because, I don't know. Because I look at United side and look at Liverpool side and go, yeah, we should have a guy that's on 35, 40 goals. You know, we should have more guys near 20. I don't know. People in the comments now, there is definitely some people that feel like Jose should be moved on. There's some in the comments now saying Jose out, period. What's your solution? Do you think we can be, yes, we can have gone further in Europe, but do you think we're one of the best teams in Europe, like Jose said last week? Are we one of the best teams in Europe? I say no. Are we better than Manchester City at the moment, even with a different manager? I say no. The progress is there as far as I'm concerned, but it is not pretty. I think that's the bottom line that everyone's bothered about. Hawkeye says, you've been indoctrinated, mate. There's no magic wand, but we have played rubbish football for 5 years and spent 600 million. Jose's been here for 18 months for that 5 years. You can't pin what happened before he came on him. It doesn't work like that. As he said, Manchester City in the last 7 years or something have finished no lower than 4th. Since Fergie left, United haven't finished higher than 4th. There was a difference in those two. We are the second best team in the country, right behind those. It takes a bit more time. Josh Thomas says, I think Jose's attack relies on certain positions playing well, and when they don't, the teams fall apart. I think we've got to upgrade the fullbacks. I think that is the width in a lot of this comes from the fullbacks, and with the fullbacks that aren't producing to the level that you expect, I think that is an issue. Shad bin Salam says, sacking Jose is not a solution. Nick says, we are progressing, as you say. The only progress next year is winning the league. We won't. I disagree. I think we can be closer to City. That would still be progress. Take it a bit further rather than them winning the league in December like they apparently did. And I think being a little bit more competitive in the Champions League is still progress. Playing more expansive football, that is progress. Progress is the position in the table, but it's also how you're performing within that as well. So I definitely think you can still have progress and not win the league next year. I mean, that's football. We're not going to win it every single time, are we? Right, that is enough of me talking. We spoke to some Reds after the game outside Old Trafford. Here's what they had to say.
I'm buzzing, Adam. I'm absolutely buzzing. We were in that singing bit. It was absolutely
I was there, sir.
Yeah, decent, mate. You know yourself. Yeah, it should be like that every game. I mean, I know it wasn't the best game in the world, and you know, Tuesday night just showed that a little bit, but it's just a response in it. It's just baby steps. So, you know, we've got to just build on it and just go to Wembley now and just go all the way to the final. That's all we can do now. We've just got to remain positive.
So we made in Newcastle, and Luke Shaw first half made a massive difference. This man will agree. So. You look scared over there.
Hey, I'm always scared. I'm getting a lot of fluff on TV. But Luke Shaw's got to start left back, definitely.
I said it for weeks. I said it weeks ago. Look what happened. He started 1-0. Yeah. So I've said it for weeks. Let's do it. I go everywhere. So right, come on, United.
Well, Luke Shaw was taken off because he was playing terribly and he wasn't giving enough width. That's why Mourinho took him off. I mean, the cross from the left wing came from Matic, not from Luke Shaw. So, you know, whatever.
What have you made of this week? We beat Liverpool, we go out to Seville, we're going to Wembley. We should be bouncing at the moment, but that Sevilla game's really killed everyone's spirit.
If you look at today, if we would have got beat today, the season's over in my eyes, you know what I mean? It's over, so it keeps going, doesn't it? And it keeps that momentum going. But I know the weather was bad, but officially speaking to someone at the club, there was only 51,000 what turned up tonight. I know they give the attendance at 74. So all those people who've sold us tickets today, don't be minding me for tickets for Wembley, because I'd rather throw them in the bin.
Again, I still don't see how we play with Brighton at home, 2 defensive midfield players. I don't understand it. That's not the United way. We've got to Wembley. I shouldn't be moaning, but the Seville was a bad night, and that's put a bit of a smile on my face. If I'm honest, that's a lot better.
Wembley, Wembley. We're the famous Man United. We're going to Wembley.
Get rid of Mourinho.
Really?
No attacking, square balls all the time. No wingers cutting in. That's not United.
What did you make of what he said this week?
Load of rubbish.
Who's your man of the match today, lad?
Matic.
Goal and an assist for Nemanja.
I know.
Mint in it?
Yeah.
Abdullah, we're going to Wembley, mate.
Not as optimistic as last time. I don't know what it is. I think I really wanted to see Pogba out there today, man. I mean, maybe if Jose wanted to, you know, put the rumours to bed, sort of playing today.
What rumours?
I mean, people have been...
You've been reading.
Listen, mate, I don't always read deep and stuff, but you can't look away from, you know, the fact that he's been in and out of the team. And I know people saying injuries and stuff, and Jose saying it's injuries, but 3 games in a row now.
Going forward, I think obviously he's going to be an integral part of the squad, innit? So I'm not really concerned. Like, I don't really listen to the media as Abdullah does. Right?
As Abdullah does. Shots fired. Shots fired.
If he doesn't start against Swansea, then you can chat, personally. Leave it to Swansea. You can't tell me that his man's still injured in 2 weeks when he's going to play for France next week.
So loads of fan cams there. Obviously, you want to talk to us after any game, because we do get a lot of messages, people saying, how can I come and do a fan cam? We're there outside Old Trafford and every away, and just come and find us and you can talk to us. It is literally as simple as that. You don't need to make an appointment. It's not an hairdresser's. Just come and find us and talk to us. It's that easy. So there was a few good comments that I saw in YouTube and that, and I'm going to read some of those out. So there was one that was saying, yes, we're second, but we should be higher. But City are better. Like, I know what you're saying, but do you know what I mean? There has to be some sort of realism. And here's my thing, like, changing managers all the time doesn't work. All the time it doesn't work. And there's nobody obvious. With Louis van Gaal and Mourinho being free, there was an obvious, do you know what? If we switch out Van Gaal, Mourinho's going to improve us. And we've been kind of right, And we've also been kind of right in some of the negative football with him as well. But there isn't that looming figure looking over Mourinho saying, come and give me the job, is there? And I think that's the key thing you've got to remember, because if we get rid of him, we could appoint another David Moyes. We could go from champions to 7th. Is anybody that's going to obviously take us to that next level? I'm not sure there is, and that's why I think you have to stick with what we've got at the moment. An 18 month is not a long time to achieve what you need to achieve. So I think you've got to be patient, and unfortunate, it's not pretty, and it sucks that City are going to sweep up and probably go through some sort of period of dominance. But what else can you actually do? If they're spending like they're spending, and they already had a better team than us in the first place, what do? You tell me what you do, because I don't know that there is an instant solution. It's the way it is. Colin says, Diego Simeone, next manager. People are complaining about Jose Mourinho's negative football, asking for Diego Simeone. People would pull their hair out with the way Diego Simeone makes Jose Mourinho look adventurous. Honestly, it really does. If it wasn't for the magic of players like Griezmann, they would be the most Stoke City side that are playing in Europe. Absolutely. Trust me on this one. 1% better is progress, says Nadeem. Yes. Pep did it in 18 months. Now, here's the thing. He took over the Manchester City side, like I said earlier, which already had De Bruyne, which already had Silva, which already had these players like Aguero and that in place. And they was higher than us. Yes, at the point they took over, they finished 4th and we finished 5th. But as Jose said earlier, that was the lowest they'd finished in that time. And 4th is the highest that we've finished post Sir Alex Ferguson. The clubs are not comparable. They'd been recent Champions League semi-finalists. We haven't. I don't think we've been that far since we went to the final. So there's not a lot of comparison in terms of, yes, their league position slipped a little bit, but if you remember the season before Pep took over, City started the way they started this season, and when they announced that Pep was coming at the end of the January transfer window, all their players down tools and just completely checked out. That should have been Manchester City's league, and they blew it that year. They was the best team in the league that year, and Pep only managed to get them to 3rd last year. So he only had 1 place improvement. We're looking at Jose Mourinho taking us now from 6th to 2nd. The improvement is there. You're comparing apples and oranges when you try and compare what Pep's done at City to what Mourinho's doing at United. It's not right. And someone saying Giggs. Yeah, we'll find out how good Giggs is when he manages Wales at the moment. He's got no experience. As romantic as it is, and I do love the romantic side of football, you can't say Ryan Giggs is going to definitely improve what Manchester United have done. There's no evidence for it. So in the fan cams, a couple of people was mentioning baby steps. Absolutely right. It's baby steps. It is improvement. It's not pretty, but it is an improvement. Some saying Luke Shaw has to start. Some saying Luke Shaw shouldn't start. And an old guy saying get rid of Mourinho. And there is a lot of that in the ground. A lot of that. My old man's one of those that's like, I'm done with him. He needs to move on. And then obviously the talk of Pogba's injury. We will find out when he goes away with France just exactly how injured he is. Pratyush in the comments says Poch. Yeah, remind me what Poch has won. Thank you. Wembley. Yep, we are going to Wembley. The Ragdoll Reject says take Zidane. It's not a bad shout. Jason says no, not Giggs yet. He has no experience. Absolutely, definitely needs to have experience. And not Poch says bad Brab. Have you seen the things that Poch has been saying? Winning the FA Cup isn't going to improve the mentality of this Spurs team and stuff. Can you imagine Jose coming out and saying that? I mean, this is a manager that hasn't won a trophy, that needs to prove himself by winning trophies, saying he's not really asked about winning trophies. Honestly, if they was at a big club, people would be talking about that big time. Christian says, stop making excuses for Jose. Good managers improve players and don't blame. Jose's improved players. The Shaw situation is strange, says Alex. Absolutely agreed. Ancelotti, a couple of people saying Ancelotti. Well, a lot of what happened at Bayern Munich, people wasn't digging Ancelotti. They were saying he was a dinosaur. He wasn't developing the team. He would just let them play 5-a-side and 6-a-side and wasn't really taking any sort of training sessions. So I don't think Ancelotti is the obvious one that we think he is. Mohamed here was straight out of the Sun or the Daily Mail. Pogba should focus more on football rather than dabbing haircuts. All right, mate. Nice one. Good one with that. Right then, so we have got United on YouTube, and remember, if you want to get involved in United on YouTube, then hit FullTimeDEVILS@gmail.com, send us a 30-second clip after the game, and we'll give you a shout out in this. Here's the lads that sent us in a video this week.
Hi, my name is Damisi, and I just watched the game against Brighton. We won. but I have questions.
How can people criticize Lukaku now? 25 goals. He's gonna hit 30 by the end of the season. What else do you want? Seriously, what else do you want?
Not the most fluent performance or the explosive response that we are expecting from the side, but I'm so glad that we got the job done. Few things to pick from the game, like Luke Shaw and Jose Mourinho going all out in the press conference, but I think we'll stick to the positives because everyone around us has taken care of the negatives and they want us to believe that we are in some deep trouble. So I think we'll stick to the positives.
What do you see? What do you see when you look at this badge? What do you see? Do you see Jose Mourinho? Do you see David Moyes? Do you see Louis van Gaal? No, you see our club. No matter who the manager is, what he is doing, we support our club.
Why does Romero always give me a heart attack when he's with the ball? Why is Valencia not doing anything in the final third? He doesn't cross anymore. Why is Young so much better than Shaw right now? I don't know.
There wasn't really a clear man of the match. I'd probably give it to Matic. He scored a goal, he assisted, but even he wasn't that great. I don't think it was a great game, similar to the 1-0 we had in November against them.
So not the best performance, but a job done against a tricky Brighton side. So now Wembley, Spurs, bring it on.
But where were the fans? Stephen Housen. Steve, you told us, doesn't matter if we lost a game in the Premier League. I'm going to be here next season. You're going to be here next season. Everybody's going to be here next season because we support United. And once we are out of Champions League, you went to an MMA match? Doc Joshi, happy anniversary. Hope you enjoyed that dinner, if you had dinner.
Why is Fellaini still a United player? I prefer Gross. Give me Gross. What exactly is Carrick teaching McTominay? He seems to be improving. Kinda. Why is Rashford such a don? He's such a don. He's so good. I like him. He's Rashford.
It doesn't matter what Jose Mourinho says or does. We are united. We support the club through thick and thin. How can you not be there? How can I see empty seats in Old Trafford in a quarter-final match?
Wasn't really a great game, but hey, semi-finals, let's win this trophy. Next year, hopefully, the league.
It's been me, Damisi, and I'm out.
Matchday Mac was not there. I only saw one tweet afterwards. What's going on? If Twitter suspended your account, has it suspended your passion? Get back behind the team.
Well, there's a certain angry young fella in there, wasn't there? For starters, mate, we can't tweet because we're suspended. You do know that because you did mention it. But yeah, the reason I wasn't at the game this week, it's the first home game I've missed in years. And do you know why I wasn't there? It's because I was hiding. I messed up. I booked the UFC when I thought it was a free weekend. I actually thought it was the international break when I booked it, and that was where I was going because I don't really like international football, do I? So there you go, simple as that. Didn't see you there either though, so how about that one? Right, Raph talks about Lukaku and 30 goals, and as I said earlier, mate, I absolutely think this is a key point, that 30 goals for Lukaku is going to be the watermark, and I think that is an absolutely fantastic season for Lukaku. If he's come in and he's got 30 goals straight off the bat, I think that's absolutely fantastic. He also says Young doing a much better job than Shaw. I'm not sure there's much in it, to be honest. Yes, Ashley Young has pulled out a couple of assists. He had a great game against Liverpool, but I still don't think he's the answer, to be honest. I think Luke Shaw, given a run of games, is a far better defender. I think he's better in attack. Jose clearly doesn't fancy him. And that's it really from that. Thanks for sending us in all of those. If you want to get involved, then the link is in the description below to give you the details for all of that. Basically send us a 30-second video to fulltimedevils@gmail.com, and then we will feature you in this video if you're not mental, or if you are mental, clearly. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Valencia and Young not very good in their prime when they were wingers. Now they're old and playing as fullbacks. Don't you think we've stepped back a lot? We need new and better fullbacks who can cross and defend. I'll tell you what, I have to give a shout out to Ethan Laird. Ethan's a young lad that's having an absolutely fantastic season, and I think he might be in with a shout at Jimmy Murphy Player of the Year the way he's played for the under-18s this season. He made his under-23s debut yesterday at 16 years of age. Can play left back, right back. He's doing bits for England, who are even playing him at centre half. And I hope Jose Mourinho was watching, because he's the truth. He really is what a modern day fullback should be. He's young, aggressive, Good with the ball at his feet. Very Marcelo-ish when you play him on the left. He likes to cut inside. On the right, he's just absolutely fantastic. So I hope that's a big step up for him. Prove what he can do in the 23s, and let's hope Jose Mourinho is going to be watching him. Hazim says, I know Man United, we look for results, but would you take it if the performance is shit? We need to step up. Ultimately, yes. I don't know how many of you remember the 1999 Champions League final. It was one of the worst performances by United ever, but what happened? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer put the goal in the German net, and we are the champions. Ultimately, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Yes, you prefer it if you're able to swat teams aside playing fantastic football, but this is a results business. That's the top and bottom of it. David Moyes played some of the most attacking football that I have seen at United in recent times. He also played some of the most turd football that I've seen at United in recent times. And ultimately, he went on the back of results. Not because that, oh, do you know what, that Leverkusen performance was fantastic. How did we come back from being 2 goals down in the Champions League and beat Olympiacos at home? All of that goes out the window when you come 7th, mate. So I think that you can't just say it's on performance, it's on both. You have to have the performance and you also have to have the results. So I think it's a case of those. Why isn't Demi Mitchell getting a look in? Is he out on loan? He was out on loan. He has done his meniscus. I believe he's torn his meniscus and he's come back. But he was having a right time at Hearts. I think at one point he had like 3 or 4 man of the matches in 5 or 6 games. He was absolutely flying. Jan says, as long as we win, play crap any day. Lee O'Connor, worth a shout at fullback. He's been playing a lot at centre-half, but yes, he absolutely is a potential future right-back. Really in the Gary Neville point, I like that, so that's the one. If we don't win the league, then it is about performance. Not necessarily, because you can still have progression. Like I said, you can't have everything all at once. This isn't FIFA, this isn't Football Manager, this is real life. Things take time. Munier from PSG would be good for right back, says Leon. Why Jose say that Shaw is the best left back around a few weeks and then benches him? Luke Shaw is being bullied. Facts. I don't like the word bullying. This is a manager and he's trying to get the best out of his team, but you are right. It's strange the way he comes out and says things. I've noticed with Jose Mourinho, he only says nice things about you if he really doesn't like you. He said nice things about Schneidlin. He said nice things about Memphis. Both of them got slung out the door. I think he said nice things about Schweinsteiger as well. They've been all slung out the door. The only one that he said nice things about that stuck around is Fellaini. Interesting. Fosu says Lewis. Angel Gomez next season says Obafemi. You want to be Liverpool, says Pedro. What, sitting there looking at 28, 29 seasons without winning a title? I don't think so, my mate. We need a new left back, says Ivan. If you stop looking at Shaw in the context of him versus Young, there's very little to praise him about. He has not developed since he's come, sadly. I think there's an element of that. Yeah, he's not really been able to get forward and progress what he's done. Absolutely, we do need to be looking at it. Shaw is gone. We need Pereira. Loads of really good comments. Listen, before we go, make sure you get on Twitter, #FreeFTD. We're hoping that there's going to be some resolution today, maybe tomorrow, something like that. But before our next game, certainly, we hope to be back on Twitter, giving you the lowdown on everything. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to subscribe if you are new around here. And if you're new around here, let us know what you thought of the Monday morning full-time review. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Laters.